Ever seen a human beg for mercy? No, me neither. Commander K sneered as he addressed the assembly. The Galactic Council chamber buzzed with tension. The various species gathered, eyeing each other nervously. K's 7-foot frame dominated the center. His scaled fists clenched as he paced. Humans are weak, he continued, his voice dripping with contempt. They haven't participated in a single galactic conflict in over a millennium. They hide behind their diplomacy and their fragile alliances, too scared to stand on their own two legs. Murmurs of agreement rippled through the chamber. The Terran Empire had long been a subject of ridicule, their absence from the war fronts of the galaxy interpreted as cowardice for centuries. Humanity had managed to stay out of the fray, negotiating peace where others waged war, buying time with treaties and trade deals. It was a strategy that had kept their worlds intact while others burned, but it had earned them little respect. Perhaps we should issue an ultimatum, suggested Saul, a slender amphibious being with skin the color of deep water. Force them to choose a side. Either they fight with us against the Krogan, or we dismantle their precious empire piece by piece. They won't fight, Kay scoffed. They'll surrender before the first shot is fired. Humans are too civilized, too evolved to get their hands dirty. The assembly nodded, the decision all but made. A message would be sent to the Terran Empire, demanding their immediate involvement in the galactic conflict against the Krogan. It was a war that had raged for decades, consuming entire systems in its fury. The Council had grown desperate for an edge, and the Terran Empire, with its vast resources and advanced technology, was an untapped wellspring. If they refused, the Council would invade and strip them of their riches. But what the Galactic Council had failed to understand, what they could not have known, was that humanity's peace was not born from fear. It was a carefully maintained facade, a delicate balance that had kept the true nature of the Terran Empire hidden for centuries. The humans had not forgotten how to wage war. They had simply chosen not to, believing that their survival depended on it. The message was sent, broadcasted across the galaxy on every frequency in every language known to the Council. It reached Terra Prime within hours, its tone dripping with thinly veiled threats and condescension. 2 days later, the Council received a response. The message was short, almost disappointingly so. 3 simple words. We accept. Prepare. There was no additional context, no conditions, no negotiations, just a promise that the Terran Empire would join the war effort. Commander K stared at the message, his confidence faltering for the first time. What is this? He growled, his eyes narrowing at the screen. This isn't the response of a frightened species. ST shifted uneasily beside him. Perhaps they intend to offer support from a distance, providing resources but not soldiers, ST suggested. K shook his head. No. The message is clear. They're joining the war. But why so suddenly? Why so casually? The Council members exchanged nervous glances, the earlier bravado evaporating in the face of this unexpected development. Humanity's response had been far too calm, far too measured. It was not the reaction of a species reluctantly dragged into conflict. It was the response of a species that had been waiting for an excuse. What do we know about their military? Kay demanded, turning to his aides. What are we up against? One of his officers, a squat insectoid being named Vil, fidgeted nervously. The Terran Empire has been notoriously secretive about its military capabilities, Vil admitted. We have estimates based on trade records and technological exports, but... Estimates? Kay interrupted, his voice rising in anger. What do we have on their actual forces? Very little, sir, Vil admitted. Their fleet is large, but it's been engaged primarily in exploration and trade protection. They haven't fought a major war in over 1,000 years. Their soldiers are rumored to be well trained, but again, we have no solid data. Their last recorded engagement was a skirmish with the Drari, which ended in a diplomatic settlement before any real conflict could occur. Kay's frustration mounted. And what of their weapons? Their tactics? Unknown, Vil replied, his mandibles clicking anxiously. The Terran Empire does not share such information, and their dealings with other species have been strictly non-military. The commander slammed his fist down on the console, the force of the blow reverberating through the chamber. "Damn it, we're walking into this blind." Street placed a tentative hand on Kay's arm. "Perhaps we should reconsider our approach. Send a delegation to negotiate terms. Ensure that their involvement will be to our advantage." Kay shook his head. "No, we've already committed to this course. If we back down now, we'll appear weak. And weakness is something we cannot afford. Not with the Krogan breathing down our necks." The council members reluctantly agreed, though the unease in the room was palpable. The Terran Empire's sudden willingness to engage in war had thrown them off balance. But there was no turning back now. They would meet the humans on the battlefield and secure their assistance by any means necessary. Within days, the council fleet was mobilized, the largest armada ever assembled in the galaxy's history. Hundreds of warships, from sleek frigates to hulking battleships, gathered at the rendezvous point near the edge of Terran space. The Krogan were a fearsome enemy, their biotechnological weapons and relentless aggression a constant threat. The Council had expected to fight a war of attrition, but with humanity's involvement, they hoped for a swift and decisive victory. As the fleet waited for the Terran forces to arrive, tension ran high. The crews whispered rumors, speculating on what the humans might bring to the table. Some imagined fleets of sleek, advanced starships bristling with unknown weaponry. Others whispered of mysterious superweapons hidden away on Terran worlds, capable of annihilating entire planets. But as the hours passed and no sign of the Terran Empire appeared, doubts began to creep in. "Where are they?" Kay muttered, pacing the bridge of his flagship. "They said they would be here." "Perhaps they're planning to rendezvous with us further out," Saul suggested, though his tone was uncertain. Kay was about to reply when an alert flashed across the main console. "Incoming transmission," the communications officer announced. "It's from the Terran Empire." On screen, Kay ordered. The image that appeared was not what anyone had expected. It was not a fleet, nor a delegation of human diplomats. It was a single man, clad in a dark uniform, his expression unreadable. He stood in what appeared to be the command center of a warship, though the design was unlike any the Council had seen before. "This is Admiral Marcus Reeve of the Terran Empire," the man said, his voice calm and composed. "We are en route to your location. Prepare to receive us." The transmission cut off abruptly, leaving the bridge in stunned silence. Kay stared at the blank screen, his mind racing. There had been no sign of hesitation, no trace of the weakness he had expected from the humans. Admiral Reeve had spoken as if he were already in command of the situation, as if the Council fleet were his to direct. "Something's not right," Kay muttered, more to himself than to anyone else. "They're too confident, Sty." Ever the voice of caution nodded. "We should be prepared for anything. The humans may have been hiding their true strength from us all along." Kay scowled but said nothing. He couldn't shake the feeling that they were on the brink of something far more dangerous than they had anticipated. And as the shadow of the Terran Empire loomed ever closer, the Galactic Council began to realize that they might have made a grave mistake. The tension on the bridge of Kay's flagship was thick enough to cut with a blade as the Terran Empire's fleet emerged from hyperspace. The display screens flared to life, showing ship after ship materializing in the void. But these were not the sleek, elegant designs the Council had envisioned. The Terran vessels were brutish and utilitarian, with sharp, angular lines and an intimidating presence. Each one bristled with weapons that seemed almost excessive, even by the Council standards. "By the gods," someone whispered on the bridge. Kay stared, his reptilian eyes narrowing. There was no mistaking the firepower arrayed before them. The Terran fleet was massive, far larger than anything the Council had anticipated. And yet it wasn't just the sheer number of ships that caused a wave of unease to ripple through the assembled Council officers. It was the way they moved, with precise, synchronized efficiency, like a predator stalking its prey. "Open a channel," Kay ordered, his voice tinged with uncertainty. The screen flickered, and Admiral Reeve's image reappeared. This time, the Admiral was seated in the command chair of his ship, his demeanor as calm as ever. "Commander Kay," Reeve began, inclining his head slightly in a gesture that could have been respect or a mere formality. The Terran Empire has arrived as promised. We stand ready to engage the Krogan alongside the Galactic Council. Kay's jaw tightened. There was something unsettling about Reeves' composure, as if the Admiral was fully aware of the Council's doubts, and didn't care in the slightest. "You brought quite the fleet, Admiral," Kay said, forcing a smile. "It's more than we expected." "We believe in being prepared," Reeve replied smoothly. "The Krogan are a formidable enemy. We intend to ensure that victory is swift and decisive." Kay's gaze flickered to his officers, his unease growing. There was no trace of arrogance in Reeves' voice, only cold efficiency. It was the kind of demeanor one might expect from a species who had been waging war for centuries. And the commander realized, with a sinking feeling in his gut, that the Terran Empire was not the weak, fragile power he had imagined. It was a sleeping giant, and now it was awake. The war was about to change forever.